Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air. The special counsel, Robert Mueller, sends his report to the Attorney General. After nearly 2 years, 37 indictments, 6 Trump associates, the Mueller report now turned in. The White House getting the call first. Then Congress alerted the report was done. Carried by a security officer to the Department of Justice. Tonight, what we know already. The letter now from the Attorney General William Barr to Congress. An early word coming in tonight from the AG that his first summary could come as early as this weekend. John Carl and Pierre Thomas standing by with new reporting. Also tonight, President Trump now responding. Sources telling ABC News the initial reaction, quote, glad it's over. Also tonight, no new indictments from Robert Mueller. Dan Abrams standing by on what that means. And what's in the report itself? Are there any clues yet? Tonight, reaction pouring in from Capitol Hill. Demands that the Mueller report be made public, that the American people get to see it. But will that happen? Mary Bruce standing by live on the Hill. Also breaking this Friday night, that chemical plant fire, worries about the air. And just tonight, the new fire now erupting a short time ago. Major news on Boeing tonight and those new MAX jets grounded. After news many were missing crucial safety software that cost extra, tonight the new headline. And the priest attacked during Mass, the moment live streamed, and what we know tonight.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. It's great to have you with us here on a very busy Friday night, and we begin tonight with the Mueller report. Now turned in, Robert Mueller's work is over. His report carried by a security officer to the Department of Justice this afternoon. In fact, the White House was called at 4:40 this afternoon and told it was done. Then Congress was alerted that the 22-month investigation is over. Tonight, the first major headline right here, the Department of Justice confirming no new indictments, as we first reported here last night. The second major headline tonight, the Attorney General could deliver his first summary of the Mueller report by this weekend. As we have reported, the investigation launched 22 months ago, $25 million spent, 37 indictments, including 6 of President Trump's associates. National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, one-time campaign chair Paul Manafort, Deputy Campaign Manager Rick Gates, Foreign Policy Advisor George Papadopoulos, personal attorney and fixer Michael Cohen, and longtime political operative Roger Stone, all but Stone pleading guilty. Tonight, what's in the report remains a mystery at this hour, but let's get right to ABC's chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl. And John, do we have any indication yet if the president has been given any clues as to what's in this report?
David, at this point, all indications are the report remains as much a mystery to the president as it does to the rest of us. But the president is telling his friends and aides that he is glad it is over.
Tonight, after nearly 2 years, Robert Mueller's work is finally done. Late today, a security officer hand-delivered his final report to the Department of Justice and to Attorney General Bill Barr. In a letter sent this evening, Barr officially notified Congress the special counsel has concluded his investigation of Russian interference in the 2016 election and related matters. The contents of the report and even the exact timing have been a tightly guarded secret. This morning, even President Trump was in the dark.
I have no idea about the Mueller report.
Tonight, Barr informed Congress, I am reviewing the report and anticipate that I may be in a position to advise you of the special counsel's principal conclusions as soon as this weekend. As ABC News first reported yesterday, a senior Department of Justice official confirmed today Mueller is recommending no further indictments. Ultimately, it will be up to Barr to decide how much of the report is made public. At his confirmation hearing, Democrats tried to nail him down.
Will you commit to making any report Mueller produces at the conclusion of his investigation available to Congress and to the public?
As I said in my statement, I am going to make as much information available as I can, consistent with the rules and regulations that are part of the special counsel regulations.
Will you commit to making any report on the obstruction of justice public?
That's the same answer.
Tonight, Barr tells Congress he is committed to as much transparency as possible. He pledged to consult with Mueller, who he has known for decades, to determine what other information from the report can be released to Congress and the public. Earlier this week, I asked the president whether he wants the full report released.
Does the American public have a right to see the Mueller report? I don't mind. I mean, frankly, I told the House, if you want, let them see it. Let it come out. Let people see it. That's up to the Attorney General. We have a very good Attorney General. He's a very highly respected man, and we'll see what happens.
Amidst the anticipation over Mueller's last act, the president amped up his attacks on the special counsel, again and again calling the whole investigation a witch hunt.
I have a deputy, appoints a man to write a report on me, to make a determination on my presidency. People will not stand for it.
All right, so let's get right back to John Carl live tonight. John, as you reported there, sources say the president's first response, glad it's over. And even though we still don't know the contents of this report, there must be some relief for the president tonight and for people in his inner circle with the news that there are no new indictments.
Oh, no question about that, David. The president's legal team also has put out a statement saying that they are pleased the report has been issued, the investigation is over. And Sarah Sanders, the press secretary, said the next steps regarding release will be up to Bill Barr. And she said, David, that the president, the White House, they have not been briefed at all on the contents or conclusions of the report, at least not yet.
All right, John Carl leading us off on this Friday night. John, thank you. As we reported at the top, the first summary from the Attorney General could come as early as this weekend. So let's get right to ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas tonight. And Pierre, that was news as well, that we might see this summary so quickly, because we now know that this is up to the Attorney General, William Barr, what to release, how much to release, and when.
That's right, David. Bill Barr is a veteran of Washington. He's under incredible pressure, and he knows he has to make some of Mueller's conclusions known and quickly. Tonight, with that new indication from the Attorney General that his first summary of Robert Mueller's findings will be made public by this weekend, it's clear Robert Mueller's work is over. No more indictments, but his findings not yet revealed.
Mr. Mueller, are you investigating the president?
For 22 months, Robert Mueller has been a virtual ghost.
We begin with that breaking headline. Will appoint a special counsel,
letting his indictments and court filings speak for themselves.
First indictments from the special counsel.
34 people charged, 7 pleading guilty.
Where's Paul? Paul Manafort.
Including the president's campaign chairman.
Mr. Manafort, did you commit a crime?
His deputy campaign manager, his first national security advisor, and his longtime personal attorney and fixer.
Mr. Cohen has cooperated.
Mueller also zeroing in on the Russians, indicting 26 people and unspooling an elaborate scheme to influence the 2016 election by hurting Hillary Clinton and helping Donald Trump.
Information warfare against the United States.
With President Trump seeming to side with Putin over the American intelligence agencies.
I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be.
Trump attacking the investigation at every turn.
But the entire thing has been a witch hunt. They won't find any collusion. It doesn't exist.
There was no collusion. There was no obstruction. There was no nothing.
Mueller also investigating whether the president repeatedly tried to obstruct the investigation.
Why don't I just fire Mueller? Well, I think it's a disgrace what's going on. Many people have said you should fire him.
The special counsel's team interviewing dozens of witnesses, including around 30 current and former White House officials. With President Trump himself refusing to sit face-to-face with Robert Mueller.
So let's get back to Pierre live in Washington tonight. Pierre, one thing that was made very clear today was that no one stopped Robert Mueller. No one stood in his way. Everyone he wanted to investigate here, he was allowed to investigate.
That's right, David. Barr made clear that Mueller was a complete professional, and there was no lead that he wanted to pursue where he was told no, David.
That was really important. All right, Pierre Thomas, our thanks to you as well tonight. Let's get right to ABC's chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, who's been following this with us all this afternoon. First off, no new indictments, crystal clear from the Department of Justice. Some are going to wonder, does that include any potential sealed indictments left to be open?
I think no new indictments means no new indictments. I don't think this is a semantics game.
Okay, what about the other investigations that have been sent elsewhere that we're already reporting on?
Those are going to continue in New York and Washington, D.C., but what's different now is that ultimately those people report directly to William Barr, the Attorney General. They don't have the same level of independence that the special counsel had, even though he was also reporting to the Attorney General. So I think that those investigations are going to continue, but they're a little bit different than the special counsel.
And lastly, you made the point late this afternoon that perhaps the biggest mystery inside the Mueller report, and we don't know what's in this report, is why there wasn't an indictment of the president, whether that's because of Justice Department guidelines or whether there was simply no evidence here.
And the special counsel regulations specifically say that he's required to tell the Attorney General why he didn't seek certain prosecutions. So the question's going to be that everyone wants to know, Was the president not indicted because there's simply no evidence of collusion, conspiracy with the Russians, or was there no indictment because he's the president and the president can't be indicted? And that applies both to the collusion question, obstruction of justice, all of it.
And we could know that actually very soon.
If the details of the report are made public.
Dan Abrams tonight, thanks so much. I want to get right to Capitol Hill because reaction is pouring in from both the House and the Senate at this hour. Of course, it was just last week the House voted overwhelmingly, Republicans and Democrats, to make the Mueller report public. Let's get right to Mary Bruce. She's up on the Hill tonight monitoring this. And Mary, we have the letter from the Attorney General sent to Congress this afternoon. The special counsel has submitted to me today a confidential report. And that's what's key here. Confidential. It's now his decision here how much the American public will see.
And David, Barr has promised lawmakers that he will be as transparent as possible, but based on what we're hearing from Democrats tonight, they are not going to be satisfied until they see the full Mueller report and the underlying evidence. Just Barr's summary is simply not going to suffice. And Democrats are going to use every tool they have available to get this information. That means brace yourself for more subpoenas. It means we could see Mueller and Barr testifying here on the Hill, and it means we could see a long court battle. Also, remember, Republicans and Democrats tonight are saying that after tens of millions of taxpayer money was spent on this investigation, that the American public deserves to see some version of this report. David, Democrats are bracing for this to be a long fight for them to get the information that they want. And in the meantime, they are not holding back. They are plowing ahead. They are ramping up scores of their own investigations into this administration. David, while Mueller's work may be wrapping up, the Hill is just getting started.
All right, Mary Bruce making it abundantly clear tonight. The next chapter here is how much of this report the American public will see. Our thanks to Mary, to Dan, to John Carl tonight, and to Pierre for leading us off. We'll have continuing coverage of this very busy night in Washington later tonight on Nightline, and of course, first thing in the morning on Good Morning America, and all weekend on World News. In the meantime, this Friday night, we move now to breaking news near Houston. That inferno at the chemical plant in Deer Park, Texas, flaring up yet again late today amid questions about the air. At least 2 tanks are now on fire, a new plume of black smoke pouring into the sky tonight. The fire burning on and off for days. Residents worried about the air quality, and ABC's Alex Perez right back on the scene tonight.
Those towering plumes of smoke filling the air near Houston once again.
It appears as though that the product that has leaked out of the ITC plant is now in the ditch, and that too is on fire.
Fire officials say at least 2 tanks filled with components used to make gasoline, nail polish remover, and glue burning.
We will make this right. We will fix it, and we will make it right.
It was just yesterday when a spokeswoman for the company made that tearful apology after an earlier fire at the same chemical plant that lasted for days was finally put out. Earlier today, officials at the facility announced they were working to empty an estimated 20,000 barrels of liquid from a charred tank that leaked the potential cancer-causing substance benzene. The National Guard assisting. Schools in the area have been closed out of an abundance of caution after the toxin was detected in the air. Many nearby residents worried all week, and tonight anxious with that smoke back in the air.
And David, because of all this, the Coast Guard has shut down temporarily the channel that connects the Port of Houston and the Gulf of Mexico. That's a busy shipping channel. Some encouraging news here tonight. Officials say they already have that new flare-up under control. David?
Alex Perez tonight. Alex, thanks for your reporting all week long. Now to the weather tonight. Damaging winds expected here in the Northeast and the states of emergency in the Midwest. Deadly flooding across several states tonight, rain falling through the weekend. Several towns ordering mandatory evacuations tonight after a levee breach in Atchison, Kansas. Tornado warnings popping up in Texas late today, and of course those gusty winds I mentioned and very cold temperatures hitting the Northeast tonight. Rob Marciano tracking it all for us again this evening. Hey, Rob.
Hi, David. Winds are cranking here. We're also concerned about that storm that's now plowing into the plains over that flood zone this weekend. And there's that tornado watch that's posted for parts of North Texas. But this exiting load's really swirling around the rain and the snows tonight. Winds are going to be cranking all day long tomorrow from D.C. to Philly to Boston, gusting 30 to 40 miles an hour. And wind chills will be in the teens and 20s to start your Saturday. David?
Marciano will be watching you all weekend long. In the meantime, now to major news on Boeing tonight and those new MAX jets that have been grounded after news many were missing important safety features that Boeing charges extra for. Tonight, Indonesia's state-owned airline says it wants to cancel its $5 billion order for 50 new jets, claiming passengers simply don't trust Boeing anymore. Here's ABC's David Curley.
Just days after learning the pilot of that doomed Lion Air jet from Indonesia was flipping through his emergency checklist before crashing, tonight, word that that country's state-owned airline wants to cancel its 737 MAX order. Garuda Air appears to be trying to negotiate to avoid a cancellation penalty on a $5 billion deal. Meanwhile, ABC News has learned Boeing's software update is expected to be certified by the FAA early next week. In the first MAX crash, an improperly installed sensor provided bad data, the one sensor triggering the jet's nose-down movement 21 times. Boeing's fix? Rely on both sensors, initiate a dive only once, and the angle of that dive will be less.
You need a system that provides additional protections, provides additional information so that these two accidents don't happen again.
It's now been 5 full days since the Ethiopians received the data from the black boxes from the second MAX crash, but still no indication of the cause.
In 2010, the Ethiopians tried to manipulate the mishap data from a 737 crash. There's a real fear here that they're going to try and do that again with this mishap.
We've learned that Boeing has invited airlines to its Seattle area plant this weekend to talk about this software update and training, and that at least American airline pilots will be in the simulator to test this software update. David?
All right, David Corley with us all week long as well. Thank you, David. There is news tonight about your money, your 401k, a deep dive on Wall Street today. The Dow Jones plunging 460 points, closing at 25,502. That's the worst day of trading since January. So let's go live tonight to ABC's Ariel Reshef on Wall Street, because there was a key indicator, Ariel, that caused some alarm today.
That's right, David. Stocks plunged today amid new signs of a slowing global economy and amid new worry of a looming recession here at home. And here's that key indicator, David, right here, the so-called yield curve flipping to negative for the first time since 2007, right before the Great Recession. Sometimes when this happens, this can indicate another recession may be coming, but not always. And David, this happened just days after the Fed chairman announced that it was unlikely that we would see more rate hikes later this year, another sign of a slowing economy. David?
Ariel Reshef live on Wall Street for us tonight. Ariel, thank you. And there is still much more ahead.
Who falls to the ground.
I thought he was going to kneel to say a prayer in front of the St. Joseph statue, but he quickly came up the stairs, taking a big knife out of his side.
Parishioners charging the altar, subduing the 26-year-old suspect. The 77-year-old priest rushed to the hospital.
David, police in Montreal are working to find a motive for the stabbing, but say it is not terrorism. Father Gros is now in stable condition. David?
Whit Johnson tonight. Whit, thank you. When we come back to the index of other news, and a teenager is under arrest tonight for threatening, quote, ethnic cleansing in Charlottesville schools. Schools were closed for 2 days, but police now charging a 17-year-old, saying hate has no place in Charlottesville. And a student who survived the mass shooting in Parkland, Florida, has died in the parent's suicide. Her family says she struggled with survivor's guilt. 19-year-old Sydney Aiello was found inside her home. She was a close friend of Parkland victim Meadow Pollock. Her mother saying her daughter struggled with that guilt and PTSD, and she hopes that her daughter's story might help urge others to get help. When an eye dog for another dog. Charlie the Golden Retriever, he's there on the left, and he's now 11. That's 4-month-old Maverick on the right. Their owners, Chelsea and Adam Stipe from Mooresville, North Carolina, say the two are best friends, playing together, going for rides together, napping together. But there's more. Charlie had glaucoma and had his eyes removed not long ago, suddenly blind. And on New Year's Day, Chelsea and Adam brought Maverick home. He would become Charlie's own seeing eye dog. As the months wore on, Maverick bringing lost toys back to Charlie, using this leash to guide Charlie. Going for walks, connected, both of their tails wagging. A friendship born, and Charlie given a new set of eyes through Maverick. And tonight, Chelsea and Adam telling us of another new addition. 2-week-old Asher, Charlie yawning, and Maverick right there as always, ready to help. We loved it. Thank you for watching here this week. Good night.